Hi class, this is a how-to for generating a phonetic inventory by context. Here I already have the inventory we generated last week from this sample of words in the Goldman-Frister test of articulation 2. Now we're using this short screener sample for this exercise, not because it's a thorough sample, but because it's just going to make this exercise a little bit quicker. Typically we'd want to use a speech sample that's a little bit more thorough so that it samples all of the consonants in each word position multiple times. You can see that I've already got the inventory here. In order to make this exercise a little bit faster, I'm going to take this inventory and go ahead and add it to my distribution by context table down here. That way, we're only really looking at the sounds that are in the inventory and not paying much attention to the ones that didn't make the cut. If you chose to add other sounds that only had, say, one occurrence, you could do that, but that's not required for this exercise. Now, the process I'm going to use to complete this is very similar to the way we generated the inventory when it wasn't by context. I'm going to start here with the word list. Starting with the first word, I've got a consonant H. H didn't make the cut in our inventory, so I am not going to add it anywhere. Now we're moving to S. Also not in the inventory. T. This one is in the inventory, so we're going to go ahead and make a tally for word initial, which is where we noted that instance. Then I have the P and the N here, and P is intervocalic, and the N was word final. Now, one important thing to note is that the examples that we are adding to the table are only singletons. This means that they do not occur in consonant clusters. Consonant clusters are an interesting context, and we could actually have another column here for clusters if we wanted to look at words that occurred in clusters. But again, for this exercise, we're keeping it simple. So we're only looking at singletons. So then I would add a tally, another tally for the P and N. Again, in their respective positions, P was intervocalic and N was word final, I believe. Oh, I'm sorry. This P was not intervocalic. It was actually word initial. So you would go through completing all of the items in every word. This way you can ignore the ones that didn't make the cut in the inventory, or you can include them. It doesn't really matter. I will skip down here to an example. Here we have a consonant cluster. So because this is a cluster, and it doesn't matter if it's a cluster in the target, all we care about is if it's a cluster in the child's production. Because this is a consonant cluster, we do not include the K or the W as an instance in word initial context, because it's in a cluster context, which is a little bit different than the singleton word initial context we're looking at here. Now, not all consonants in English or any particular language occur in every possible word position. So for example, if we completed the inventory by context for the consonant Y, we would find that for this child there were no word initial productions, and I'm going to use a box to represent that. And there were 2 productions in intervocalic position, and there were also no productions in word final position. But in word final position, the consonant Y in English does not occur. So actually I would put nothing here because there were none, but we wouldn't expect there to be any either. These are the basic procedures for generating a phonetic inventory by context, and you would just continue through the entire word list to complete the exercise.